Rightio guys, we're just picking up where Rex left off before he took off. Big old patrol here. As you saw from the end of the last episode, we've got an issue with this map sensor. It was brought from ProFlow. It's meant to be a 2-bar, it's definitely not, and that's obviously going to cause us some issues. Now, the regular Delphi sensors that we were getting from Raceworks, Delphi stopped making those sensors. So obviously Raceworks can't get them, no one else can get them, and they were like just the go-to sensor. They were the right calibration, everything about them was right. They were reliable, they always worked. If you bought them from the right place, we were getting them from Raceworks, they were sweet. But you can't get them anymore, so that absolutely sucks. So we gave this one a go, it's not worked out. And obviously you got to be careful with sensors where you get them from, what you're getting. We figured ProFlow would be a good place to start. Thought maybe that it'd be all right, but evidently that's not been the case. Now, the only one that I can really find online that I'm comfortable enough giving a go and trying is one actually from VCM. So VCM actually have a 2-bar map sensor for Gen 3 that they sell. Unfortunately though, I just tried to call VCM to order that and they are shut until the 9th of January. So that's gonna suck. That's gonna put us a fair way behind. Just another setback. Anyway, it's a perfect example of how one little sensor being incorrect can just frickin' throw the whole thing off by that. But anyway, not to worry, it'll still get done, but I'm not about to just go and buy an eBay sensor because you all know what happens when that stuff happens. This sort of thing happens, or worse. So very, very important, obviously, the map sensor, especially in a speed density setup like this. It is just about arguably the most important sensor in the whole engine. So it's got to be right, it's got to be a good one. So anyway, we'll keep ticking along, but yeah, unfortunately that's going to slow us up a bit. So we are still waiting for the pad adapter for the pump, which was meant to be here weeks ago. So don't know what the hell is going on there, and it's obviously very frustrating being this time of year, sort of between Christmas and New Year's and stuff, because everyone seems to be just shut down. It's really hard to get onto anyone to figure anything out or find out where anything is or chase anything up. So one thing Rex did have an issue with was the way I made this AC line that comes off the firewall though. So obviously when he dummied it up to make the dump pipe, it was actually facing up, sort of straight up like that. I like to make them obviously the way I made it, because it just gets that bit of hose way out of the way. But it creates an issue with the dump pipe now, being able to get it in and out without having to remove the actual AC line. So not to worry, I've got another number 1090, so I'm just going to cut this back to where it needs to be, obviously, and it's just going to come straight up the top. So I do need to modify that so that you can get the dump pipe in and out without having to move it. But yeah, we've got our turbo beanie from Pulsar Turbo, so that's going to go on the exhaust housing there, which is just going to help protect our power steering hose and a few other things there. So I'll get this in, I'll tick along fixing that AC line and stuff, and I can start on the eBoost plumbing, just doing the plumbing to the gate and stuff like that. I can start on a lot of that stuff. We do have all the material here now to do the intercooler piping, but my alloy welding leaves a lot to be desired, and seeing as we are going to have to wait for that sensor anyway, which is going to put it back a few days, I'd be much more comfortable just waiting for Rex to get back to weld all the alley intake pipe work, because it's going to be so much nicer. And it's going to be no advantage me screwing it up, trying to get it done ASAP, because we've got to wait for a sensor anyway. So I'll wait for him to get back. Righto, boys and girls. So I've started to get a bit of this boost control stuff sorted. As you can see, we've got a turbo beanie on there. I did mistake myself. I thought I had an extra fitting to remake that AC line, but I don't. So I've just sort of pulled the excess out and put it that way, which is the way it was meant to be modified for, and we'll leave it like that and see how it goes with the dump pipe and stuff, and I'll order a new fitting. Again, seeing as we're gonna have to wait for this sensor, it's I may as well order the right stuff and do it right, because we've got to wait for other crap anyway, which is a pain, but it is what it is. So yeah, yeehaw, boost control's coming along. I've run that line down sort of through the bracket for the alternator and stuff right down to the gate, so it's pretty well protected and in there, and we've got some heat sleeving on the gate end as well, just to protect it from the manifolds there. So it should hopefully never be a problem. And then obviously our reference is going to come off the turbo housing along here, but I'm not going to bother pulling that off at the moment, because it's going to have to come on and off to do the intercooler piping anyway, so may as well wait. Rightio guys, so we're finally back on deck for 2023. Bit weird having builds that go over. It would have been nice to get this done before, but obviously that just didn't happen. But we're trying to get sorted everything we need to have this done this week. So an issue that we are having is the fuel line that we welded the AN6 weld-ons to, front and back. It worked well on the last one, but this one, because the engine was already in the bay, it was really awkward to get at the fuel line. It wasn't as easy as the last one where we were able to weld it. Rex was able to weld it with nothing in the way and stuff like that. So it was looking all right, but they are both just leaking a little bit. The rear, which you saw in a previous episode, but actually we'd noticed this morning the front one is weeping as well around the weld. So basically we were faced with the option of either pull the entire line out so that Rex could get at it properly and weld new fittings onto the line. But we figured at that stage, by the time we pull out the steel line, we may as well just make a whole new alloy hard line front to back with the correct crush fittings at each end. It just basically seems like a better use of the time spent to do it, rather than to pull the steel line out and weld it again. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to do. So, gonna pull this steel line out and make a new line front to back alloy. Just is what it is, but that's all good. I've ordered a new map sensor from VCM. I've got them to express post that, so hopefully that's here in the next 2 days, because at this stage, it's gonna be what's gonna hold up this thing hitting the dyno, is gonna be that map sensor. So getting cracking on the rest of the cooler piping at the moment. We've got the last fitting that I was waiting for the pad for the top of the pump for the AC system is here, which means we can finish the AC system. I have ordered a new fitting for the firewall so I can shorten that line up if it gets here in time, but if it doesn't, I'm pretty happy just to loop that line around and lose the distance in the line. I'm not going to hold up the entire car going back to the owner at this stage just for waiting for one AC line to get the AC system gassed up. So a few other headaches, starting to pull the freaking hair out. So anyway, I thought that when the owner bought all of the Mark's conversion gear for this thing, they would have sold him a Dakota Digital interface box, which generally, whenever you buy a full conversion from Mark's, they will always sell one to you, or they always try to anyway. And what we need that for is to get the factory tacho working in the dash. So it's sort of unavoidable. I think with the ZD30 GUs, the way they receive a tacho signal is a bit different, and you can set them up without one. But as far as these go, from what we are aware, you need one of those Dakota Digital interface boxes to actually change the signal to be the right way for the actual factory tacho to work. So unfortunately, Mark's he didn't buy one at the time. We don't have one here. And unfortunately, I've gone to order one this morning and Mark's don't reopen until the 16th of January. So that's just not going to happen. But that was already going to suck. But we've just come across this. So this was the pad adapter that I was waiting for the top of the pump. These are sort of the type of thing that I've ended up having to just consistently buy off eBay. I just can't find any decent supplier that has something like this in stock for these pumps all the time. Anyway, the issue we've got here now is that this is the wrong way around. So the pump's got the suction on the front, which should be the 10 on the front and the 8 on the rear, but this is the wrong way around, which means that these are in the wrong places and doesn't actually fit inside that. So this was a complete waste of time waiting for this, and at this stage I don't think I'm going to be able to get another one this week to get it done, which is just frustrating. So I don't know. Anyway, I'll have to figure something out. So, that's the way it should be. That's no freaking good to us, is it? Yeah. Alright guys, so, a little bit of an update. Did some research, called the supplier, had a chat to them. What we didn't know and the supplier didn't know at the time. So, the pump we normally use is a Sandon 7B710 or whatever the hell the family of pump is, 7176 is what we normally use, which has all 4 mounting ears, and that's what we used in the last one. Now, I don't know if you saw the last episode, but when we went to buy the kit and buy the pump, there was none of those pumps in Australia, and we wouldn't have been able to get one until a bit later on this year. So they sold us that pump under the guise that it's essentially the same pump, just obviously with a few little changes. It was missing that one ear at the back, which wasn't really going to bother us too much. But you saw in the last episode, I noticed the pads were a bit closer to the pump, and I had to flip the pump over, etc. That's how the lines had to get run. So what I found out is that is a difference with the pump. So the actual orientation of those pads on the pump are different to the regular 7176, which we would normally use. So that fitting would have been right for the right pump if we were able to get it at the start, but we weren't, so we had to get this pump. So I've ordered the pad fitting adapters individually instead of a one-piece fitting like that from the supplier for the pump. I do like using the one-piece one usually, just because I feel like it is safer, but we'll get one of each, and we should be able to orientate them the right way around, and that should work. I've asked them to airbag them directly to us ASAP. Hopefully they're here at the end of this week, fingers crossed. But yeah, so it is actually a difference in the pumps. It's not that fitting that's wrong, which sucks. Anyway, it is what it is. It's what we're dealing with. A really good example of how one small change or one small thing that you can't get or trying to chase up can just cause complete havoc to everything. It's an absolute pain in the ass. But anyway, It's out of our control. Righto guys, sorry for the content of this thing being so disjointed and all over the place. I've just being right back on deck after the holidays. We've got so much freaking stuff to catch up on because from December we pretty much just ignored the emails and the phone calls and everything and just focused on these 2 cars here, trying to get them both sorted. I'm paying for it now by having to catch up on all this stuff, but Rex has been smacking out this intercooler pipe work. It's looking awesome. So you can see we've got this side in here. There's an elbow on the turbo on the compressor housing there. He's got the other side here, which is ready to go. But what we did find is because this has got the tall radiator and the fans mount at 90 degrees, the fans come up a lot higher on the radiator in relation to the more horizontal radiator, as well as this being the Marks kit and not the Castleman kit. The motor obviously sits that little bit further forward. So off the throttle body, there's not enough room there to actually do like a 90 out of alley and then have it transition to the right size for the throttle body and be nice like we had the last one. So we've had to order another reducer for the intake pipe work, which is on the way. So it should hopefully be here very soon. That's a elbow, so it just saves one bend of alley on the intake pipe work, which is just no way to make it nice. So as well as that, Rex has got the sub tank out and we've got the stock fuel line out. So Rex cut that and pulled that out, and he's just bending up the new alley fuel line to go in, which is gonna be much easier to deal with and work with. And then obviously we don't have to worry about welding and leaks and all the other crap that comes with that. So like we said, when it works and it's all good. But in this particular instance where we've already got an engine in the bay and it's too hard to get a good weld and get it right, this is just obviously quicker and easier in the long run to just do it this way. So rightio guys, sorry it's been a hot minute. I've been out and about, doctors and stuff, and Rex has still just been ticking along with this thing. We're still waiting on a map sensor. No issue of VCM, just retarded couriers. Well, I shouldn't say that. Obviously, a lot of you guys know we don't actually get any mail service or any delivery service to our workshop, so we have to get it delivered to another business. So it is pretty confusing for a lot of couriers, but the map sensor's been out for delivery and back a few times. And anyway, doesn't matter. I was worried about the AC fittings not getting here. Those are here. We still don't have a map sensor, so there's that. But anyway, they look like they're gonna be right, and our replacement number 10 has arrived, so I will revise that line and we'll get that all hooked up, so that'll be sweet, which is good. That means AC will be finished. Aside from that, Rex has been smashing along. He's got all of the sensors and everything hooked up now, but he noticed that the water temp for the Patrol, it doesn't really work very well in this rad hose without an earth, so we're gonna have to take this back off and just weld on a post to put an earth and earth this to somewhere a bit better so that the sensor works.
One just because I thought that had happened, but then I was hoping with this one maybe there'd be enough earth just through the actual water and coolant, but there's not. So.
There's not. So yeah, put a post on that and actually make an earth to some other point in the car. Rex revised all my boost control plumbing because I had missed the fact that out of the top port of the gate, Rex actually wanted to tee it into the waste from the Mac valve as well. So the top port on the gate actually runs up to this tee, which is the bleed off from the Mac valve, and both of them are plumbed back into the intake. And as we went through with the last one, this is very important in this sort of configuration of a four-wheel drive because it keeps it sealed, keeps the whole boost control system sealed.
Especially with this one where the gate's mounted
pointed
quite
down,
low,
yeah,
and mounted low.
Yep. So yeah, very important because if you go through a water crossing or you're off road or something, and they're vented to atmosphere, you're going to end up beach sand. You're going to end up with crap all in them. So very important to keep them all fully sealed. I just missed that when I did the boost control plumbing. So Rex has revised all that. Fixed a lot of the gearbox, the speed sensor off the transfer case. The pigtail had a lot of exposed copper that Rex had to fix, but it's all hooked up and the speed's working now. So like, everything's pretty much working, ready to go. Just get this AC sorted and wait for a map sensor now, and that can hit the dyno once we've sorted this out. But yeah, Rex has got the overflow tank plumbed in. So because of the skinny rad in this version, we were able to fit a big 2-litre overflow from Raceworks there, which is awesome. It's a nice little fit, as you can see. That you probably haven't seen actually all the intercooler piping in the car either. But
IoT sensors.
IoT sensors back there as well. Nice little IoT.
Oh, the new belt went on as well.
Oh, yep. So when I flipped the compressor, the belt actually got a little bit shorter because the ears are not the same on each side. So the compressor moved down a bit. So the belt route got a little bit shorter. So we got a 10mm shorter belt.
And stop that squealing.
Stop the squealing, so that's awesome. So this isn't plumbed up yet though, as you can see. It only comes with, I think, 3/8 fittings, and we need a 3/8 to 5/16 adapter, which we're still waiting on. After that gets here, we can actually plumb that in. But at this stage, I'd assume it's probably gonna be here before the map sensor anyway. So today's Friday, we're hoping to have this thing pretty much tuned this week and ready to go this weekend, but obviously with no map sensor, we still can't do that. More on that as well. Talk to VPW, who we bought the ProFlow map sensor from. It is a known batch issue. They were just packaged wrong. It is a 1-bar sensor that was just packaged wrong. There was a whole batch of them. So they've actually been really, really good to deal with, and they're going to replace that sensor. Obviously not straight away. Like it's not going to be here before this car needs to be tuned. The VCM one will be, but it is nice that VPW have been really good to deal with about that, and they've sent a new sensor. They're going to replace that sensor when they get the new batch from ProFlow. So I think that's pretty much it. I'll sort these AC lines out today and book in our gassing for next week, and hopefully this map sensor shows up today so that this thing's pretty much ready to hit the dyno Monday, would be the idea. Would be the plan, so fingers crossed. Anyway, I think that's about it. About the only thing left we got to do actually is the AC wiring we still have to sort out. So Rex has cut out the kick panel around the fuse box and everything in here, ready to go. But we still need to sort out the relay for the AC request. And then as we talked about, we need to sort of plumb that in, or wire that in through the pressure switch, like we did with that GQ. I don't think it's going to be very difficult. You do?
Yeah, so I started yesterday trying to figure it out. It's going to be a pain in the dick. Yeah, it's already started. My head's already hurting from it. Yeah, like that. I found this wiring here because that's the AC cutoff relay, not the AC request relay. So I don't even know where that relay is. I'm going to have to find it somewhere. I've got that wiring's half sorted out, and I've found the other half, one half of the wiring for the pressure switch, which goes to the old ECU plug. So I've got those two sorted, but now I need to find where the other half goes, which I think goes to the AC request, and I don't know where that relay is. So
okay.
The wiring diagrams that we have don't match anything, so I've had to I've got to cross-reference a few different diagrams to try and figure out what the hell's going on. Because
this is such a late TD, it's one of the last ones, there is a lot of differences, I think, from the early ones.
Well, the diagrams I'm looking at are 2004 on.
Yeah, okay.
I think this one's what,
06. It's late 06. Like, it's literally one of the last TDs they would have made.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just not, the diagrams aren't matching.
That's the other thing, the plug for the oil pressure switch, the factory one, was not the right plug. It's a plug for an early one. So we had to order a new plug as well, so that works. So hopefully that's here pretty soon. At this stage, all of this stuff, like, you know, it's delayed a week, which means basically we've got another week. So in that week, you know, that plug should be here, our map sensor should be here, and we will have this AC sorted out and have it ready to go. So anyway, just a few more delays, but yeah, it's coming along. It's looking great. Pretty excited to see how this thing's going to go. Righto guys, so here at the moment, finishing off this AC wiring. That's our pressure switch. As you can see, with the pressure switch all good. We've got one fan hijack, which is now drawing air through the condenser. So our AC request, by all accounts, should work fine. So it's going to engage the compressor. As you can hear the clutch engaging and see it. It engages the compressor, turns on a fan, AC system works as it should. Obviously if there's an issue with pressure, none of it works as it should. And everything should work pretty much as factory, so yeehaw. So looking at the diagrams we had through Autodata and everything, it looked like this was going to be very, very difficult because there was like a 5-pin relay up under the dash for the AC system, but it actually ended up being very simple because the way this patrol works, again being a late TD, there are a few things that are a bit different to what we have found looking it up, but basically you had your whole circuit that went through the thermistor, through the pressure switch and everything back to the ECU, which then obviously controlled the output to the request, the cutoff relay. So all Rex had to do was where the old ECU was, cut both the two wires and bridge them. And that way your request now just runs through a series or through the thermistor, through the pressure switch, and then back to the request relay, which means that all of those, like the thermistor and the pressure switch, are still doing their job in the request as far as cutting off the AC system if something's not right. But all you're losing in that instance is obviously that the ECU no longer controlling it. It no longer controls it if there's something up with the engine, but that's not particularly a big deal in our situation anyway, so actually ended up being a fairly simple fix. So obviously, as well as just bridging them wires and having them run through the request to the pump, still running through the thermistor and the pressure switch, obviously we then have our extra relay for the fan, which then hijacks off the AC request as well. And as you can see, turns the fan on so that it starts drawing air through the condenser. So obviously that just hijacks the fan. Obviously, it'll get to a temperature where both fans will turn on anyway, and if the AC is not on, it'll still get to a temperature where it engages the fan, but just obviously at whatever temperature you're at, even if it's cold, if you hit the AC, it's going to hijack that fan to draw the air through the condenser, which it needs obviously to cool the air, or cool the gas, I should say. But yeah, so pretty simple solution. Hopefully we'll have our guy out here to gas this up tomorrow, and yeah, we're on the home stretch.
Home stretch with the big rig.
Anyway guys, again, I know that the content for this build has been a bit sporadic and all over the place, but so much of it was so similar to the last one we did. I didn't really want to cover a whole another 12 episode series covering all the exact same stuff. Obviously we've tried our best to cover things that are different in this build. But you know, if you're looking for more information or more in-depth information, check out the previous build series on the previous one we did. There are a few differences, but if you're looking for a more in-depth look at what's going on, that series will provide it for you. But obviously, as well as that, I haven't really been here a lot, been in and out lots. But anyway, it's yeah, it's coming together, it's looking awesome.
Yeehaw.
Righto guys, so we're back here today. Unfortunately, ran out of time yesterday to get the run-in done, just between trying to get a few things sorted. We had to swap the 33s off V80 onto the back so that we didn't have to dyno it on these 35s because I would have hated it. So between doing all that, we didn't get it on the dyno until about after 4:30 and we sort of just ran out of time. So back here today, Rex started doing the run-in this morning. Today I've got my boy, so I'm in and out a bit, but we did have one issue with just a leaky rocker cover seal. So the customer supplied all the gaskets for this engine when we built it, and the seals that were supplied for the rocker covers, they just don't stay in the rocker cover properly like the stock ones do. So Rex has pulled that rocker cover off. Just going to use some Ultra Black, some silicone, just a few dabs in the corners, just to try and keep that gasket on there, that seal, and we should be all good. But apart from that, Rex has loaded it up to about sort of 3 pounds. It's spooling fine, everything else is fine. There's no other issues so far, so it's all looking great thus far. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at with it. I figure that's probably enough for this episode. So we're going to finish the run-in, do obviously our first oil change and flush it out and stuff, and then get into the actual tune side of things. So that's going to be next episode, as well as we have our guy coming out today to gas up the AC system. So yeah, tune in next episode. We'll see how we went with our AC system. Make sure this one doesn't leak. If this one doesn't leak, that's going to be 3 for 3, and I'm going to be dancing all the way home.
Well, you've done it now.
Yeah, well, Rex reckons I've jinxed it. So anyway, you're just going to have to tune in next episode and see. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching as always. Hope you're enjoying this build. It's coming to an end. We're really excited to see how the results of this thing are. Really excited to compare these results versus the last one we did and see how much difference these 4-into-1s are really going to make to spool time. So anyway, it's all happy days so far. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to head to the merch store. Check out the merch, now offering in big boy sizes. Get your entries in to go into the draw to win yourself our HZJ80 giveaway. So go check it out. See you on the next one. Peace out. See you. Bye.